Welcome to a journey through the enigmatic corridors of history, where shadow whispers secrets that have been kept in obscurity. Today, we embark on a quest to the ancient roots of a clandestine force that has quietly shaped the narratives of civilization's past. A realm where the mind takes on shades darker than the deepest abyss, concealing a psychology that has stood the test of time in mysterious stillness. As we dig into the depths of antiquity, prepare to be fascinated by the subtle allure of a phenomenon that, until now, has remained masked in the veils of time. With no further ado, let's start this amazing journey of dark psychology influence throughout different ancient civilizations. Let's start our journey in the ancient Egypt, where the priests held a massive power and authority. They were seen as a link between regular folks and the gods. Think of them as special messengers who had a lot of influence. They used rituals, ceremonies, and religious tests to spread fear, veneration, and obedience in the population. Beside the priests, the people still had the pharaohs, who detained the maximum power. They weren't just ordinary rulers. People believed they were the gods themselves. Everywhere you looked, you would see reminders of their power, like fancy temples and writings praising them. It looked like the whole world was under their spell. But here's the twist. While everyone was in awe with the pharaohs, the priest was secretly pulling the strings. They would tell people that disobeying the pharaoh meant angering the gods. A pretty scary idea, isn't it? It was like a sneaky way to manipulate and keep everyone in line. The leaders were easily manipulating people, following the social ladder. Everyone knew their place, from the important rulers to the lowest workers. The idea of getting rewarded in the afterlife for being good or punished for being bad was like a price or a threat hanging over everybody's head. It was how they kept society running smoothly. So, in ancient Egypt, manipulation wasn't just a trick here and there. It was intertwined into everything, from the grand pyramids to everyday life. It was a world where power and control went hand in hand, making sure everybody stayed in their place. We can conclude that in ancient Egypt, not even the gods could escape the game of manipulation. Now, we move into the exciting world of ancient Greece, where words were like magic spells that could change the course of history. Think about it, people like Pericles or Demosthenes weren't just good at talking, they were experts at convincing others to see things their way, like wizards casting spells on people's minds. But hold on, there's something even more fascinating. Imagine digging into the world of philosophy, where thinkers like Plato were like cunning tricksters, spinning complicated stories to control how people thought and behaved. In Plato's Republic, he talks about rulers telling big lies to keep everyone in line, like a giant game of make-believe. And let's not forget about the gods and the goddesses. They weren't just worship, they were tools used by rulers and politicians to get whatever they wanted. They would say things like, "The gods are on our side," to make people believe they were right and justify whatever they did. Now think about Athens, the bustling center of ancient Greece, where brilliance and ideas flowed like rivers. It wasn't just about being fair and free. It was about being the boss, spreading their way of thinking and shadowing everyone else who was in charge. It was like a big show of power and persuasion, where Athens ruled supreme, making everyone else fall under its spell. We can say that ancient Greece was a thrilling place, where every word was like a puzzle piece in a big picture of control and power. As we finish covering ancient Greece, get ready to uncover the crafty tricks of ancient Rome. Imagine this, Roman leaders didn't just sit around. They knew how to throw a good party and were masters in propaganda. They would host exciting events like gladiator fights, chariot racers, and big parades. It wasn't just about having fun, it was more to distract the public and about making people feel a sense of unity and to reinforce loyalty to the state. But here's the twist. Emperors like Augustus and Julius Caesar didn't settle just for being rulers. They wanted to be worshipped like gods. They made everyone believe they were super special and untouchable. It wasn't just about being in charge. It was more like being treated as heavenly heroes. This cult of personality served to legitimize their rule and discourage opposition. Now let's talk about Roman army. They didn't just fight with swords and shields. They were expert at messing with their enemies' heads. They would use fear, intimidation, and tricky mind games to keep control of areas they conquered. Just the sight of their powerful armies was enough to make anyone think twice before challenging them. And then there's the idea of Pax Romana, or Roman peace. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Well, it was actually a clever way for rulers to justify taking over other lands. They would make it seem like they were bringing order and wealth to the places they conquered, but really, it was all about having more power. It's like putting a shiny cover on something that's not so great underneath. It seems like the ancient Rome was a place where tricks and illusions was just as strong as weapons and shields. So let's continue our ride by taking a fascinating journey into ancient China, where clever strategies were the name of the game. Picture this: Sun Tzu, the ancient Chinese strategist, wasn't just about fighting, he knew the power of the mind games. In his famous book, The Art of War, he revealed tactics like using spies, spreading false information, and pretending to retreat, all to outsmart and demoralize enemies. But here's the real kicker. While some thinkers believe in strict rules and harsh punishment to keep society in check, others went to extremes. Emperors like Qin Shi Huang didn't just want obedience, he wanted complete control. They would enforce tough laws and use propaganda to crush any hint of rebellion, keeping their grip on power tight as a drum. And let's not forget the idea of mandate of heaven. It might sound heavenly, but it was more about earthly power. Emperors claimed they were chosen by the gods, painting themselves as righteous leaders destined to bring prosperity. It was like giving themselves a divine stamp of approval, making everyone believe they were the chosen ones to rule. Without a doubt, ancient China presents itself like a place where battles weren't just fought with swords, but with cunning and manipulation, shaping the fate of dynasties. Lastly, we step into the intriguing world of ancient Mesopotamia, where power wasn't just about might, but about mastering the mind games of manipulation. Picture this: rulers and priests weren't just figures of authority, they were puppet masters pulling the strings of society. In ancient Mesopotamia, rulers weren't satisfied with earthly authority, they claimed divine connections, making themselves the go-between mortals to gods. It wasn't just about leading, it was about being seen as chosen by the divine. This cult of personality was making it clear that challenging them was like defying the gods themselves. Plus, victory wasn't just about strategy, but divine protection and favor, where rulers credited their successes to the gods, reinforcing the idea that they were chosen ones destined to lead. They also loved scapegoating. If they had any problems, they would blame it in someone else. Rulers loved to point fingers at marginalized groups or external enemies, keeping the populace focused on imaginary threats instead of real issues. Besides the rulers, Mesopotamian priests had their fair share in controlling the society. They weren't just religious figures, they were the ultimate influencers. Picture them as the public relations team for the gods, supposedly rendering their will and performing rituals to keep everyone in line. They didn't hesitate to use fear, painting rulers as the chosen ones who could keep disaster at bay, as long as everybody obeyed. If all that we've seen before wasn't enough, Mesopotamian rulers were masters at propaganda and ideological control, also known as spin doctors. Have you ever seen those towering temples, monuments, and grand ziggurats? They weren't just monuments, they were propaganda machines, showcasing the might and divine favor of ruling elites and painting themselves as benevolent leaders. Mesopotamian society wasn't just structure, it was a carefully crafted hierarchy. Rulers and elites used laws, codes, and even religious beliefs to keep everyone in their place. Disobeying the rulers wasn't just risky, it was downright dangerous. Think about brutal punishments like mutilation or death for anyone who dared to challenge their authority. So there you have it. We've dived deep throughout the practice of manipulation, brainwashing, and psychological control in ancient times. From civilization to civilization, people used tricky ways to control others, like made-up stories of presence of divine power in the form of leaders, propaganda, distraction tactics, and many more. Some did it to keep order, but others did it to have more power and to keep people down. It shows how power can be used for good or for bad, shaping the fate of entire civilizations just by using tricks that nowadays we can call dark psychology. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. That will really help us. Thanks for watching. Until next time, peace.